Frequency Matters, the RF and Microwave Update Series. I'm Pat Hindle, and I'm here with my co-host Gary Lerude. Our last episode was our Star Wars theme. You can see Gary beat me up with the lightsaber if you watched that one, so check it out if you haven't seen it.
I think you won that round.
Well, we don't have all of our paraphernalia out here either.
True. I'm missing our lightsabers today.
Well, our January Radar and Antennas issue has a cover feature that talks about the various solid-state technologies for amplifiers that go into IFF radar systems. So there's kind of the incumbent technology using silicon bipolar, but some of the future requirements may benefit GaN and LDMOS entering that market. So it's interesting to read about those trade-offs. How about on the technical features, maybe a quick review?
Sure. So we have 5 technical features, a couple on the radar theme, pulse compression radar, one on match filter design for pulse compression radar, and then one on testing pulse compression radar. Then on the antenna theme, we have 2 articles, one on the design of anechoic chambers, which is the first of a 2-part series, and then we have a 6-band cellular antenna article, which is interesting. And then we have a design process article from Remcom that talks about full wave matching circuit design. So that's our lineup this month.
Yeah, there's always a lot in the radar antennas issue, and of course there's the product section too.
Right.
So turning to the news, a thing that really caught my eye was Rice University has some scientists who have developed a nanotube-based coating that can make coaxial cables 50% lighter.
Wow.
So this coating will replace the tin-coated copper braid, which acts as the outside conductor and shielding layer. And that's the heaviest layer, so if you replace that with a thin coating, it really reduces the weight. And they found that a 90-micron thick layer of the nanotube-based coating would suffice in meeting the mil specs on shielding and also withstand 10,000 bending cycles and still maintain its integrity. So very interesting development.
Yeah, I would think that would be of great interest to airborne applications.
Yeah, where the weight is a critical thing.
Also on news, we've talked about antidigics before, and I thought we probably were at the end of that story, but there have been a couple more chapters.
Going on forever.
Right. So for those of you that may not have been following it, back in November, there was an announcement that Gas Labs was buying antidigics for $32 million. But the deal allowed antidigics to take some time and go out and see if they could get a better offer. So they found there were several companies that were interested, and the bidding kept going back and forth over a number of weeks. I lost track of the number of rounds that they went through. Anyway, on January 19th, they announced a deal with a company called 26, which was kind of new to me. They're a semiconductor laser manufacturer, and they announced they were buying antidigics for $61 million. So 61 versus the original 32, so that you could tell the price almost doubled. Then, within a week, we got another announcement that the board was actually opening the bidding again. There had been a third player that the board had kind of discounted because they were a Chinese company. Well, now they're negotiating with the Chinese company to see if they can reach a deal where the Chinese company would be allowed to buy the company, because the Chinese company actually had bid more than 2.6. So we'll see what happens over the next couple weeks. It's still in play.
Yeah, that's a big trend. The Chinese companies are really trying to buy into the semiconductor market in a big way.
Yeah, and as we know, gallium arsenide is kind of dear and near to the DoD heart. So I'm sure the Chinese company buying a U.S. company in that technology is going to get a lot of discussion.
Yes. And so I also saw in the news on the mergers front, Quadrant Management announced that they acquired MI Technologies. And so they're going to take that group and merge it in with NSI. So the new company, NSI MI Technologies, will kind of be a powerhouse in the microwave measurement and antenna market. And it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It should be a good matchup. And speaking of that company, Vince Rodriguez is the one who authors that anechoic chamber design piece that's 2-part in January and February. He's a real expert in that area, so it's a good piece to read.
Yeah, it's a very interesting article. So it sounds like those 2 companies coming together will be a lot stronger in the market.
Yeah, for sure.
A bigger portfolio. Well, the other thing, we're in the middle of earnings season where companies are releasing their results, and we heard from MACOM this week. Their revenue is about $116 million for the most recent quarter. That's up about 3% quarter to quarter and about 20% higher than what they did a year ago. They've made 2 acquisitions within the quarter, so 5S, the Japanese company, and Aeroflex Metallics, which they bought, contributed about $5 million to that revenue. So if you kind of peel the onion, the growth really came from those acquisitions. Their core business was down about 1%. Although the outlook for this quarter, of course, with those new companies and just growth in general, they're projecting about 12% growth going into this next quarter. So it was a good earnings call. They have a lot of things that are going on, a lot of positive news. Of course, they recently announced a teaming agreement with Northrop Grumman and Active Arrays. They received a multi-million-dollar order for some optical components for data centers. That's a growing business for them. And then within the next couple months, they're expecting to qualify their 8-inch GaN-on-silicon process, which to them will open the door really for the base station market.
Yeah, they've really been active, and we'll be covering them in the future for sure.
So what else is going on?
So on the event front, recently was at Design Con. First time I got to meet Chiphead, which was an experience. It was interesting to see how the signal integrity world is kind of converging with microwave technology. We both kind of use the same physics because the speeds have gotten so high in that world. Yeah. Just to name a few of the featured test and measurement and software companies that kind of dominate that space. Keysight Technologies released their SI Pro and PI Pro. So now they have dedicated simulation tools for power integrity and signal integrity engineers. So that's a good feature. We had Rohde & Schwarz with their Scope Rider, which is their new handheld scope that has the accuracy of a benchtop lab instrument. And we had National Instruments, who released their 2016 Automated Test Outlook. And I love this piece because it kind of talks about the trends in the industry. And it's a good piece to check out each year that they update it. Yeah. And then Anritsu was featuring their upgrades to their Shockline VNA, which is their low-cost line of products. And those now go to 43.5 gigahertz. Wow. So that's an upgrade. And I can't not mention Teledyne LaCroix with their 100 gigahertz oscilloscope. So that 100 gigahertz scope is really interesting. All kinds of technology going into the RF front end of that. Yeah, that's amazing. And then on the EDI CON China front, we are releasing the program very soon for that conference. And there's a few very interesting featured tracks. We have a track on SOI, or silicon on insulator technology. And that'll feature a keynote by Global Foundries and a couple interesting papers from Skyworks and Peregrine and a few others. We also have a track on radar, so a lot of measurement and modeling of radar. We have a 5G forum, and we hope that will be kicked off by China Mobile and Ericsson, and followed by a panel and a bunch of sessions on massive MIMO, alternative modulation techniques, etc. And then there's, of course, a lot of RF and microwave and high-speed digital design. And the biggest thing is the co-location of EMC China and the Chinese Radar Industry Association. So you have these three conferences all co-located together. So any engineer can choose from any of those conferences. So it should be a big event. Yeah, it's really shaping up to be a very strong conference this year. Yeah, and also EDI CON USA taking place in September, the call for papers is open. So go to ediconusa.com/papers2016 to submit an abstract. Yeah. How about you on the event front? Well, Richard Mumford and I are, as you know, preparing to go to Mobile World Congress in Barcelona in February. So we're getting all kinds of invitations to meet with companies and trying to pare the list down so that we can meet with the ones that are most important to our industry. So I'm looking forward to that. I hadn't been there in a couple years. So. Oh, that's a great place. I love going to that event. Yeah, Barcelona is a beautiful city. The other thing I wanted to mention, Pat and I just spent the better part of yesterday afternoon at Analog Devices, the old Hittite company, and touring their facilities. And I thought it was a really informative and instructive afternoon. What did you think? Yeah, I was very impressed. I didn't know the depth of their defense technology. They have all kinds of technology from device level to full-up modules that they build there. I had never seen that kind of integration at Hittite. I didn't really realize they had been doing that much work in that area. And also the millimeter wave technology was extremely impressive. Yeah, they really gave us a great tour. And I left there thinking that either I would like to be a design engineer in that lab where every design engineer had their own test system, or I'd like to be the salesperson for Keysight or Rohde & Schwarz. Yes, definitely. Anything else? No, for this episode? About wraps up this episode. All right, well, we'd like to thank you for watching, and we in particular want to thank Mini Circuits for making this program possible. You can find out all about Mini Circuits products at their website, www.minicircuits.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.